Once, in a time when magic whispered through the silver leaves of ancient forests, lived a miller whose heart was weakened by the fear of poverty. As his mill turned slower and his sacks grew emptier, he fell into a suffocating despair. Eventually, he had nothing left but his creaking house and a magnificent apple tree standing behind the mill, its branches heavy with blossoms that looked like fallen clouds. One day, while gathering wood in the dark heart of the forest, a stranger appeared, a man in a cloak woven from shadows. The air grew cold, and the birds fell silent. "Why is your brow wrinkled with worry, old miller?" the stranger asked. "I can make you wealthier than any king. Simply promise me what is standing behind your mill at this very moment, and your chests will never be empty again." The miller, thinking only of the apple tree, agreed without hesitation. He signed the bargain with a trembling hand, the ink appearing dark as dried blood. The stranger, who was the devil in disguise, laughed mockingly. "In 3 years, I shall return for my property," he said, before vanishing into the mist. When the miller returned home, he found his chests overflowing with gold. But his wife fell to her knees in terror. "Oh, husband, what have you done?" "Se, Cree, at the moment you were in the woods, our daughter was behind the mill sweeping the yard. It is not the tree you promised, but her very soul." 3 years passed like a slow shadow. The daughter grew into a woman of immense kindness. Her purity created a radiant light that surrounded her like a shield. When the day came for the devil to claim her, he found he could not cross the threshold. The girl's holiness scorched him like an unquenchable fire. "I cannot touch her while she is so clean," the devil snarled. He issued a horrific ultimatum to the terrified miller. "If you do not hand her over, I will take your soul. You must break her power for me. Take these magical black chains and bind her hands tightly behind her back. Make her palms useless, so she cannot pray or perform good deeds." In mortal fear, the father obeyed. With tears of shame, he bound his daughter's hands with the heavy, cold sackless. "Forgive me, my child," he sobbed. The girl replied softly, "Father, do as you must. I trust that the Lord will protect me, even in these bonds." Even bound, she wept so sincerely that her tears fell onto the black iron. Wherever a tear landed, the metal began to glow with a celestial light, resisting the corruption. The devil remained powerless and finally vanished in a cloud of smoke, but the magical chains remained locked. No blacksmiths or key in the world could open them. The miller offered to keep his daughter in luxury, but she could not bear to look at the man who had traded her freedom. "I will go forth," she said. "If my hands are bound, my feet can still carry me toward the sun and the hope of a better world." She walked 4 days until hunger exhausted her body. One night, under a silver moon, she reached a royal garden filled with the scent of succulent pears. An angel in snow-white garments appeared from the mist and made the water of the moat recede to create a dry path. Since her hands were bound, the girl leaned forward and plucked a pear with her mouth to still her hunger. The royal gardener watched from the shadows, convinced he was seeing a spirit visiting the earth. The next morning, the king noticed a missing pear. The gardener told him of the mysterious girl with golden shackles and the heavenly light. Intrigued, the king decided to keep watch that night alongside a priest. At midnight, the girl appeared once more. The king stepped forward and asked gently, "Who are you? fair maiden. Are you sent from heaven, or are you a sufferer of this earth? She told him her tragic fate, the story of her father's greed, and the unbreakable chains. Deeply moved, the king saw her inner light rather than her disability. If magic has bound your hands, I shall be your hands, he declared. He took her to the palace, and though no blacksmith could break the enchanted iron, the king had the chains decorated with gold and diamonds, so they looked like a mark of royalty. Soon, they were married, and the kingdom came to love their queen of the Golden Shackles. A year of peace followed, but the devil had not forgotten his prize. The king had to leave for war, leaving his queen in the care of his mother. When the queen gave birth to a beautiful son, the mother wrote a letter to the king. However, the messenger fell asleep by a magical spring where the devil waited. The devil swapped the letter with a forgery, stating the queen had birthed a monster. The king was heartbroken, but his love was unshakable. "I wrote back, guard my wife and child with love until my return." Again, the messenger slept, and the devil swapped the letter with a cruel command: "Kill the queen and her child, and cast them out forever." The king's mother could not commit such an act. She told the queen, "You must flee into the deep forest. Evil words have poisoned the king's heart." She tied the baby to the queen's chest and sent her into the wilderness with a heavy heart, praying for their safety. The queen wandered for weeks as sharp branches tore her royal clothes. Eventually, she found a small white cottage with a sign that read, "Here all dwell free." Inside was the same angel who had helped her in the garden. For 7 years, the queen lived in that sanctuary, raising her son and praying for the husband she believed had forsaken her. One morning, as the sun rose in a burst of gold, the magical shackles began to glow with a sound like 1,000 silver bells. The iron shattered into dust. Her hands were finally free. She raised them toward the sky and embraced her son for the first time in his life. Her unwavering goodness and years of patience had finally dissolved the devil's magic. Meanwhile, the king returned and discovered the devil's treachery. "I will search until the very end of the world," he cried. For 7 long years, he traveled through every kingdom and forest, refusing to return to his throne without his family. Eventually, exhausted, he reached the hidden cottage. The angel welcomed him to rest and covered his weary face with a cloth. The queen and her son entered the room, and she immediately recognized the man she had never stopped loving. "Son," she whispered, "remove the cloth from this traveler's face and see your father." When the king awoke, he was astonished. She looked exactly like his lost wife, but her hands were free. "Who are you?" he asked. "My wife wore shackles that no man could break." She showed him the faint scars on her wrists and the broken links on the floor. "Love and faith have melted even the devil's chains," she said. The king fell to his knees, begging for her forgiveness. Together, they returned to their kingdom. Even the miller, who had repented, sought his daughter's mercy. The queen forgave everyone, for she knew that bitterness was just another kind of chain. They lived in a peace that lasted for generations, a testament to a human spirit that no magic can ever truly imprison. If you like this video, please subscribe and like it, so we can make more videos like this.